As Claire Lopez likes to call it, the Jihad Jamboree came to the White House. And if it wasn't for a whole bunch of well-armed Secret Service, they would have breached the perimeter and invaded the White House. And yet, nobody's going to prison. Claire Lopez, you sent me an article with a great title, Jihad Jamboree, and that's what it was. There were thousands of We Love Hamas protesters, supporters, crazy people, whatever you want to call them, at the White House the other day. It looked like a revolution taking place when you watch the videos. They were knocking down fences, they were climbing the fence, they were screaming profanities at Joe Biden, and I mean some real rough ones. They were very anti-American, very anti-Israel, very anti-Semitic. It got so bad, the White House staff was evacuated. Now, if we were going to compare this jamboree with what happened on January 6th, with all those people still languishing in jails, and it seems like the federal government's response to what amounted to an attempted invasion of the White House as a benign protest, how do you balance the two?
Well, I don't think they can be balanced. There's no equivalency between them at all. This group that gathered at Freedom Plaza in downtown Washington, D.C. this past Saturday, that would have been January 13, 2024. As you say, numbered in the many thousands, they were carrying all kinds of signs and placards and so forth in support of Hamas, a foreign terrorist organization list jihad group. And they had also, at that point, already put together signs in support of ending any kind of counteraction against the Houthis, the Iran proxy terror group out of Yemen that has been assaulting commercial shipping and U.S. naval ships as well for the past many months. And as you say, this group, they attacked the fencing that had been put up around the White House, trying to knock it down, trying to get through it, throwing projectiles, bottles and rocks and I don't know what over the top. Now, thankfully, President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden were at Camp David for the weekend, out of harm's way there. But yeah, as you say, staff and journalists were evacuated by the Secret Service from the White House premises, and Secret Service in full riot gear had to stand up against the fencing to prevent its being knocked over or breached.
They literally, I saw the video, you're 100% right, with their body weight. They held the fences in place or the White House grounds would have been breached. I've never seen anything like it. And yet, no tear gas fired, no mass arrests, no police out there with paddy wagons rounding people up and carting them off to prison. To illegally attempt to evade the White House is a felony. And
yeah,
yet,
absolutely.
There are no prosecutions. There's no press. Is this just no news? Don't look here?
Nothing to see here, folks. As far as I know, there were not even any arrests made with that mob. And you know what's interesting about the group? If you go to their website, they had a website online. It was called March4, numeral 4, march4gaza.org. And if you drill down at that website, there was an entire list of over 350 of their supporters. Now, all of them were not necessarily present at that rally mob site, but they lent their names to the list of supporters. It was a who's who of the Muslim Brotherhood in America and a whole bunch of outright communist Marxist organizations, including the Communist Party USA, World Workers' Party, Freedom Road Socialist Organization, and many more. So a real red-green axis of this mob. And again, as far as I know, no arrests. By comparison, well, similarly, I might say, think back to the assault back in the summer of 2020. Again, Lafayette Park across from the White House grounds. And yes, there was more, law enforcement action there, but those participants in that riot are not languishing in solitary confinement, 4 years later.
I'm amazed. And just for fun, if a certain other gentleman who's running for president now was still president of the United States, it seems to me the Jamboree would have had a totally different law enforcement response. Just thinking out loud.
Could be, but I really think that this coming year of 2024, another election year, presidential election year, I think it's going to be chaotic. I think that this red-green axis is going to be all over our streets this year, especially as the weather begins to moderate to spring and the summer. I think we're unfortunately headed for a very chaotic, tumultuous year.